Good evening, nerds. So this is the beginning of another vlog, and this is what I'm really excited about because I love fan fiction. So just a little background with fan fiction. If you've clicked on this video, you know we were going to be reading some published Reylo fan fiction. For those of you who don't know, Reylo is the ship name for Kylo Ren and Rey from Star Wars, the new movies. And it's a very, very popular, very intense ship, and like editors or whoever recruits agents, they just go into the Reylo fan community and they just pull people out willy-nilly. Now, I have never actually read a Reylo fan fiction unless you count Ali Hazelwood books, which several of those used to be Reylo fan fictions. Oh, sorry about the lighting, by the way. I tried to get in a spot where there was light and it's so dark here. And honestly, I'm sorry, but I don't care. I don't really care. Anyway, while I've never read a Reylo fan fiction, I love fan fiction. So I cut my teeth on X-Files fan fiction back in the day. That was an intense obsession of mine for a very long time. And then I've moved on to new ships across the years, and I'd sort of let it fall by the wayside a little bit until 2017, when my anxiety decided to come and live in my brain permanently. And I basically, until I got on, okay, what is on you? What is that? What is on your butt? Until 2017, January, where my anxiety like just went into overdrive, and I basically started self-medicating with fan fiction. I read so much fan fiction in 2017 going into 2018. Can't even tell you guys. I fucking love fan fiction. So I thought it would be really fun. All of these books, actually, I had on my TBR already. Sometimes I knew they were fanfic before I put them on reworked fan fiction, because they're not the way that they used to be when they were originally free on AO3 or whatever. And what was I saying? I'm just thinking about my dinner and what I'm gonna eat. In case you're curious, I think I'm gonna make vegan sour cream pasta, which is this thing I do where I make noodles and then I put Rao's marinara, which is, I don't know how they make it taste so homemade, but they do. And then I dump in some vegan sour cream into the sauce and it makes it taste awesome. And then maybe some sourdough buttered toasted bread. That sounds good. Anyway, I don't remember what I was saying. I thought it sounded like fun to read these books that I already had on my TBR or that I wanted to read, regardless of whether or not they used to be Reylo fanfiction before they were pulled and reworked for publication. Oh my God, Pippin, what are you doing? Real quick, here's the TBR for this video. First up, we've got My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. This book looked really cute, and honestly, I would have read it regardless of whether or not it was Reylo. And frankly, I don't care that it is, because those Reylo girlies, they write some good shit. But this one, I believe the original fanfic was called My Virgin Roommate is a Vampire. So, and I thought at least up until 2 weeks ago, you could still access it as a PDF. It could be gone by now. I don't know. So this one is about a vampire who's been asleep for 100, 200 years. I don't remember the exact number. And he doesn't know anything. When he wakes up, he doesn't know what's going on culturally. He's very lost. So he rents this, I think he owns this building, or he owns this room or something. And he puts an ad in the paper for a roommate for $200 rent. I don't know the context of this. I don't know if he purposefully makes it really cheap or if he just thinks that's a good rate because he's just a freaking old ass vampire. And our main character, whose name is Cassie, finds the ad and was like, this is way too good to be true. He's probably a creep, blah, blah, blah. Well, hijinks are probably going to ensue, as are sexy times. So that's this one, Forget Me Not. Now, I don't actually know what this one's about. I've forgotten. Basically, I think they both are involved in wedding planning somehow. I don't want to know too much. Like if my brain has forgotten the summary of a book that I once read and was interested in, that is a gift. Now I can go in knowing nothing. But come on, that's like, for some reason on these books, except for this one, which they've completely, like neither one of those is Daisy Ridley or Adam Driver. that is very much inspired by Adam Driver. But anyway, I think that they're enemies. And I think that they both are involved in wedding making. Like, I think one of them's a florist, which is why it's called that and why there's flowers. And I think one of them might be a baker or something. I don't know. Maybe one's a wedding planner. That's really all I got for this one. And then the last one is the one I'm most excited about. And that's You Again by Kate Goldbeck. And we've seen this, right? We've seen this. That doesn't look like Daisy Ridley, but that's Adam Driver. This one, actually, most people, when they're talking about it, do not know that it is Reylo fanfiction. They talk about how it is an ode to When Harry Met Sally. And it can be both of those things, because for those of you who don't know, this thing that is frequently done in fanfiction, where people will take their favorite couple and make an AU, which is an alternate universe, where the characters are the same, but they have different life circumstances. Maybe they're in our world, maybe they're in some different world that's not Star Wars, you know, that kind of thing. So they've put them in an AU, but in this case, the AU is a mashup with a popular movie. So some fun ones that I've seen over the years are like The Mummy, and instead of Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser's characters, you've got, you know, Bucky and Steve. And then here we've got When Harry Met Sally, except for we've got, originally it was Ray and Ben, but this has been reworked. I don't know exactly how closely the original fanfiction is to this, although I have this one. I found it. Somebody on Reddit had an EPUB up for download and I downloaded it, so I have this one, so I'll put the info here. I think after I read this, I'm gonna read the original. Oops, that's not good, for comparison, so that'll be fun. But the main characters here are Ari and Josh, and this is basically their enemies. When they first meet each other in New York City, they do not like each other. And then they meet again at various points in their lives over the years. And eventually they become friends, just like Harry and Sally. And then that turns from friendship into a close emotional bond, and then eventually love. So that's, I mean, some of these, like, sorry, this is too much fan fiction, but I love it, so I'm going to talk about it when I can. A lot of these mashups very closely, like, follow the plot almost exactly, but you just sub out your favorite characters, and there's little variations based on, like, the characterization of those particular characters versus the original. Like, I've actually read a bunch of Notting Hill ones with different characters over the years, and the little variations are kind of fun. It's weird that I've read the same story so many times that on a movie I've seen a million times. I don't know. Fanfiction's so weird. But this one, I don't know how closely it hewed to When Harry Met Sally, so I really have no expectations going in. I think it's just inspired by the movie and Reylo. So I'm actually really excited about this one. I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge one, because the characters aren't going to be like super 100% likable. But I don't need a character to be likable. I just need them to be relatable and or interesting. And I feel like that's what's going to happen here. So that is what's happening for this vlog. Honestly, it shouldn't take me that long. I'm probably going to knock out these puppies in 1-2 days max each. So I'm actually really excited about this vlog. I want to read these books, but I'm going to go eat dinner now, because I'm still thinking about it. This whole time I was talking to you, I was thinking about it. Hello, so let's talk about this very silly vampire book. So I am 90 pages in. It is super readable. I'm having a great time. I mean, it's not like the best thing I've ever read, but it's very entertaining. It's very easy to read. The writing is crisp and clear, and it's doing what it needs to do. I really like Frederick, the vampire, and Cassie's fine. I mean, she's fine. She's not my favorite person ever, but, you know, she's fine. So what I said basically was true in my intro. The $200 was a typo, and also Frederick doesn't know what rent costs. So it's two things. I think it was meant to be $2,000. He has a friend named Reginald who I haven't met yet, but presumably he is also a vampire. So I think he's got like a network of vampires who are trying to help him like readjust to the world, and like their help is very weird. The thing that I'm liking the most about this right now, they are roommates. I mean, it made it seem very plausible. Like, I thought it navigated the fraught situation very nicely. There is some lusting in here where she like loses her brain whenever he takes his shirt off or something, which so far that's only been once. But the first time she met him, she thought he was going to be like an 80-year-old man because of the way he wrote his emails, which is very, very formal and old-fashioned because he's from like 100 to 200 years ago. And he doesn't know like what social customs are or anything like that. In fact, that's why he wants her to live with him, is because he wants to study her from afar and learn about pop culture and social mores and customs and all that stuff. My favorite thing about this so far is Frederick, and then the whole premise of him wanting to learn about now. The contrast of him being like, he had to be taught that it's okay to say her name, Cassie, instead of calling her Miss Greenberg. He like didn't understand about pots and pans because he doesn't cook. So when she told him that she wanted pots and pans so she could make a spaghetti, he went to Crate and Barrel and bought her like Le Creuset and like all this other expensive shit. I don't know, just the misunderstandings, watching him navigate that is really fun. I wish that we had more from his perspective. We don't really have a perspective so far from him at all. What we have is each chapter opens with like a text of his or a letter of his or an email correspondence or something like that. So we get something in his voice, but we don't get like a full POV chapter. That's all Cassie. Anyway, I'm having fun. It's not the best thing I've ever read, but it's entertaining and it's delivering on what it promised. So I guess we'll see. I think she's about to find out that he's a vampire. So I'll check back with you once that dynamic has developed more, once she's in on it. I'm sorry I don't normally do this, but I just can't. This author doesn't know what hazel is. Hazel is not a color. I have hazel eyes. I'm not gonna give you a close-up, but here's the line. Here's the line. She's talking about looking at Frederick's eyes. I could see all the variations of color within his dark eyes. They weren't a monochromatic brown like they appeared from a distance. His irises contained very subtle pinpricks of hazel as well, combining with the brown to create the richest, most beautiful eye color I'd ever seen. First of all, like, can't you just say his eyes were so pretty, I like them? Second of all, hazel is not a color. So I don't know if you guys, anyone watching this is a public service announcement. As a person who has hazel eyes, I feel like this is important to know that hazel is not a color. You say eye color, but it's not a color. What hazel is a combination of green and usually brown, but my eyes are actually kind of a reddish, like sepia tone thing. I have green on the inside or is it the opposite? Hold on, I gotta look at my eyes. I don't like spend time looking at my eyes. So my eyes are green on the outside and they have a inner circle thingy of like a brownish gold sepia thing. That's hazel. It is a combo color. And actually, I think there's a specific color thing that you say about eyes, and I can't remember if hazel eyes are one of these, but there's a thing called heterochromatic eyes, which is when your eyes are different colors in different places. Like you can have like a blue spot and then the rest is brown or something like that. You can Google celebrities who have heterochromia and you can look at it if you want to, or just, you know, regular people's eyes. But I just felt like I needed to let you guys know that hazel's not a color. Okay, bye. First of all, a quick update on my last clip. I just Googled it. So there's 3 types of heterochromia. I do have heterochromia in my eyes, which I didn't know that. Well, I kind of knew it, but whatever. But hazel eyes are heterochromatic. They're called central heterochromia. And what that means, like I said, is the outer ring is one color, and then there's an inner ring that's another color. Then there's a second type that is the one that I was talking about, where I don't remember what that one's called, where you have like one eye that's one color and you've got mostly, and then there's like a patch of another color, and it can be genetic or it can be the result of trauma or other stuff too. And then the third kind is complete heterochromia, and that's when you have one person with like a brown eye and one with a blue eye. So that's your lesson on heterochromia. And while I'm here, I'm gonna give you an update. So I'm liking this. It's a fun read. The premise is really fun, and Pippin is causing trouble. It's not perfect, and the premise is actually my favorite part. Like the teaching him how to live in the modern age. That's the best part of the book. The romance is not my favorite, and it's just mostly because they're such bumbling idiots, but like in a way that doesn't read as real to me. Like maybe him a little, because he's so clueless and he's living on like Jane Austen rules or whatever. She is just like, she does the stupidest things, and like it just doesn't read as like the real reaction. And especially since I just finished a really great romance that still manages to be swoony and realistic at the same time, which is Role Playing by Kathy Yardley. Check it out. Oh my god, I gave it 5 stars. It's just really clear to me that the chemistry and like the realism in their interactions, I don't necessarily need realism in a book with vampires in it. Like that's not what I'm looking for. But I do need realism in the way they relate to each other and talk to each other as like people. And I don't feel that's all the way there. So if I had to rate it right now, I would give it 3.5 stars. It could pick up. I would have given it a straight 4 at the beginning before they started really interacting in terms of like liking each other. Their first kiss scene was so weird. I just like, this wasn't, no. I feel like it's leaning into a lot of fanfic tropes, which is good, but not executing them great, which is not good. So, okay, next time I check in, no complaining about weird details, and I'll probably be finished. Okay, bye. Hello. So I am on my way to Thanksgiving lunch, dinner, whatever, with some like family friends, and I just figured that I should give you guys an update because I finished My Roommate is a Vampire and I'm giving it 3 stars. So I'm kind of sad about it. It was fun. It was a good time. I'm not going to be keeping the book. 2 main issues. So the first thing is that it is pretty obvious to me that in its original incarnation, it was very smutty and there was no plot. So if you're not super familiar with fan fiction, there's this thing called a PWP, and PWP stands for Porn Without Plot. Now, this probably wasn't quite a PWP, but I think it was probably pretty close. The reason I think that is because I don't think there was any conflict originally in the story. I think it was just her discovering he was a vampire, them getting together and having lots of sex. The end. Maybe it involved her getting a job, maybe it didn't, but I think this whole like plot where Frederick's family, which I'm unclear even how he has a mother, like is she his biological mother and she was turned into a vampire and so was he, or is he like, is it like in Angel and Buffy where when a vampire sires you, they're considered your family kind of thing, even though it gets kind of incestuous with them. But like they're talking about old vampire families and like all this stuff, and I know it's just a silly romance, but I feel like you got to put in some world building when you got vampires involved. You gotta know what your parameters are. Like, what is an old vampire family? Like, what is that? So Frederick is kidnapped by his mother and these people that he was betrothed to, their family, and it's just the stupidest conflict. It wasn't even a good conflict on page, but it also felt like it was just added in because an editor said, hey, so we need more conflict. Can you get Frederick kidnapped a little? What? Just leave that part out. It wasn't even good. Second, I guess there are 3 things. Second, this felt like it was trying to be funnier than it was capable of. So that's just preference. I just think it was trying too hard and it wasn't as funny as it wanted to be. And then third, this is the real kicker. Those other 2 things I could have like lived with, and it could have been a 3.5, maybe a 4, but the romance, I just felt nothing. It was like they didn't really get to know each other. Like they get to know each other in these notes, but we don't have enough of those. They're very short. I just didn't feel it. And then they get so fucking horny. Like, I don't mind when books are horny. I support the horniness, but only if there is enough emotion to back up that horniness. You got to do the work before you can do the work, if you know what I mean. So like, if like this book did, and a lot of books do this, you're taking the sex and using it as a way for people to get close without any actual emotional development. Like, it's a shortcut for allosexuals. Oh, we're banging, now we must be in love, kind of thing. And I just didn't feel it, and I did not care, because the emotional bond was not on page for me before they started doing it all the time. And I mentioned in an earlier update that the indication that they liked each other was that they got stupid around each other and like suddenly were not able to talk. And I'm like, I'm sorry, there are people who are painfully shy that don't talk when they're experiencing a lot of emotions. Like, that exists, but that's not what was happening here. They could talk to each other, but when they were like faced with a shirtless person, like they were so overcome by lust that their brains turned off. Like, that doesn't happen? Question mark? It just didn't work. Like, there's a lot of pieces in here that I can appreciate, and I feel like it was a goofy fun time. Like, I enjoyed very much the idea of a vampire getting lessons, although he barely got lessons. Like, there needed to be more of that. Like, where were his lessons? Show me his lessons. Like, you guys watch The Good Place? Like, Chidi does philosophy lessons to try to teach Team Cockroach, which is what they call themselves, to try to teach Team Cockroach how to be good people so they can get into the good place. The actual, well, spoilers for The Good Place, they're not actually in the good place, they're in the bad place. So he's trying to teach them how to get into the good place by being good people. So he gives them philosophy lessons, and we see those lessons all the time. Like, we learn about all these different philosophies and philosophers, and like, that's what we needed in this book. We needed to see the lessons. The only one we see, sort of, is when they go to the mall with Cassie's friend Sam. But even then, because they're going to buy him a new wardrobe, we don't actually get to see them really do much wardrobing. We see it a little bit, like a tiny bit, like the person at Nordstrom's brings them some stuff, and we see him try on a Henley, but then Cassie freaking loses her brain because he looks so good in a Henley, and oh, can I just touch you? Like, it was so constructed. I don't know. I feel like this wasn't bad, I just wasn't for me, and I feel like hornier people who don't care about emotional development will like it just fine. But really, it's the central relationship and the horniness and the sexiness being used in place of emotional development, and I just can't. I'm gonna talk about Allie Hazelwood. Allie Hazelwood knows how to do proper sexy time to emotional development ratios. By the time you get to her sex scenes, which are very graphic, which Allie Hazelwood, that's a talk for another day, because people will not leave her alone, and it's just misogyny at this point. She writes awkward, real sex scenes where, like, I don't know. But then again, I think that she's demisexual, and all her characters are, there's at least one demisexual in each of her books that I've read so far, so I feel like that might be it. Because the emotional stuff needs to come before the sexy stuff in order for it to be sexy. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I can't. It's just, life is too short to waste it on reading empty, non-sexy sex scenes without rich emotional development. Even in a book about a vampire that's 200 years, that's been asleep for 100 years and needs to relearn about modern society. Like, it's just, romances need to be emotionally complex or deep enough to actually make you feel it, and sex scenes on their own do not do that. I'm gonna rant about this forever. Okay, so I'm gonna keep driving now, and I'm gonna go listen to my audiobook, but the next time you see me, I'm going to be starting, I think, Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. I'm probably not going to do that today because I have 2 other books to finish today that are on my, like, actual TBR, and then maybe tomorrow I will start that book. And see you later. Okay, bye. Good evening. It is Monday, the Monday after Thanksgiving. Today was terrible, so I am postponing my official TBR, and I'm starting Forget Me Not. once I'm more into this, I will give you an update tonight, but I expect to get pretty far in because I read the first paragraph and I really liked the writing style. Update a little bit later once I have my dinner and get further into this. Okay, so it's later tonight and I'm on page 66 of Forget Me Not by Julie Soto. So I already like this a lot better than the last book I read, which I can't remember the name of right now. Oh, My Roommate is a Vampire. I should remember that. So I just like her voice, like her writing style is so good so far, and it's got a voice. You know, it's not just generic weird nonsense passing as a voice. Yeah, so that's great so far. But what this is about basically, so our main character is Amma, and there's two timelines. The first timeline, the main timeline is Amma's POV in present day. And then we also get a timeline from the past that is in Elliot's point of view from when they met through the end of their relationship, which this is a second chance romance. So I think I knew that. I think I mentioned that earlier. So we don't know why they've broken up so far. What I've got is that Amma has started her own wedding planning business. She used to work for this high-powered fancy wedding planner who's basically a huge bitch, but Amma can't see it. This influencer slash model has decided that she wants Amma as her wedding planner, even though Amma only does like small, mid-sized weddings, because she promised her old boss, Whitney, when she branched off, that she would stay out of Whitney's area. And it's basically because she was really good and that bitch doesn't want her taking all her business. Anyway, I'm not enjoying that character as much. I hope they give some subtlety to the Whitney character, because right now she's just a straight up bitch, even if Amma can't see it. So there's this huge wedding that it's already making her career. Like, they're going to pay her a bunch of money, and she's already gotten 2,000 more followers, and it's only been like a week on her socials, and she's gotten people to reach out to her. She's gotten lots of publicity. And plus she likes the two women who are getting married a lot. So she's just really having a great time until, as it turns out, she realizes that they want to use Elliot as their florist. Because, surprise, it was his mom, I think, or somebody that he knows who recommended Amma to the brides. They had a nasty breakup. Like, both of them are being so weird about it. Like, neither one of them want to talk to each other. They don't want to see each other. They refuse to work with each other, even though he's one of the best florists in town and she is an up-and-coming wedding planner. And they use the same venues and they have the same business. It's good conflict so far. It's good writing so far. I am very pleased. Hopefully it can continue this. And I want a little bit of angst and some drama. And I want some groveling. I don't care who's groveling. I want some. Okay, so I just finished Forget Me Not. Guys, this was really good. It was so good. Like, okay, Lily, honey, you gotta get off mommy. Say hi to everyone. Okay. She's mad because I made her get up from my lap. This book was so good. So it's not like probably all-time top favorite romance. Like, I didn't cry or anything. But, I mean, I have no complaints. Literally no complaints about this book. As you can tell, because I didn't do any updates after the first update. So, like, I mean, the author is funny. It's not like a absurd, wacky kind of book, but when characters say funny things, like, it's funny. The characters feel really real. The setting felt so real. She said it in Sacramento, her hometown. And I just read the end notes, like, that it was important to her that the main character didn't have to leave to understand that overcoming her hometown wasn't something she had to do to achieve her dreams and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this was just really good. Like, it is also begging to be a movie. Like, this would make such a good movie. The wedding that she plans for these brides, I mean, I could picture it in my head. Like, I mean, it's such a visual, I mean, I don't know what people who can't picture things when they read are going to do with this, but I was picturing so many flowers. Like, I really want to see the rehearsals, the reception space that she makes for them. I want to see that on film. I just think, I don't have any complaints. Now, I'm not giving it 5 stars. I'm giving it 4 stars, but I'm keeping it. I'm not going to sell it, and I'm going to probably reread it because it was really good. Success. I am definitely in for whatever this author wants to write in the future, if this is what she can do on her debut. Now, of course, she's an AO3 writer, So, and what I really liked about this, in the back of the book where it lists her contacts, let me see if I can find it. There's so much stuff in the back of this one. It doesn't just list her website or anything like that. It also lists her AO3. So it's like she's still like on there and she's proud of it. And I love that for her. This was great. If you like romance that is smart, good characters, not cringy, romantic, if you like weddings. I mean, this book is about Amma has commitment issues and Elliot is like the most committed person you'll ever meet. And she's like, her mom has been married literally 16 times. That's part of the book and it's upsetting to her, but it's really affected who she is and how she treats relationships and how she sees marriage and all that stuff. But she loves weddings. So it was just really well put together. I don't know what else to say about this. If you like romance, you should read this. It was great. Now I'm going to read the next book. It is in my bedroom. I don't have it here, but it's You Again by Kate Goldbeck. I'll probably read that one tomorrow. I think I'm going to move on to my sci-fi book that I'm reading right now, but I wanted to update and say this was great. You hear that? She's such a freaking weirdo. All you gotta do is touch her and then... I started You Again. Actually, I started this 2 days ago. I can't remember. I've been bad about blogging. And also, I just haven't wanted to update. But I am 169 pages in to this book, and I really like it. I think it might be my favorite of the three. And that's because even though, like, the characters aren't inherently like 100% likable, which is a lot of people's complaint with this, like they're mean, they make bad decisions, they're judgmental, they're very flawed people. Though When Harry Met Sally comparison is impeccable. She's really got the structure of like following them through time and the conversational elements and the banter, and it feels very like a modern, not a retelling, but like a modern take on the idea of enemies to friends to lovers relationship. And I'm very much enjoying it, even though they're jerks, because it's very entertaining. And the thing I like most about it is the writing voice. It's very styled, very stylistic, or very unique. Like, it has a voice, like a very unique voice. It doesn't feel like every other romance novel, which, you know, sometimes that's what I want, but it's also nice to have something different. And this is different. And I can tell why people aren't giving it 5 stars, but honestly, I think I might feel a 5-star coming on because it feels so unique. And I love When Harry Met Sally, and this is really giving me those vibes. That's all I have to say for now. I will check in later, probably when I finished it, to be honest with you, and then I will close out the vlog with any final thoughts about all 3 books. Okay. So thing number 1, Josh is right. He's a snobby chef, and I want to punch him in the nuts a little bit, the way he talks and thinks about food. But he's right about black and white cookies. They are too sweet. They are also too soft. If you're going to do a soft cookie, you got to have like a little bit of a crunch on top. You know what I mean? The texture's got to be right. If it's soft, you got to do something else to make it worth it, because like you got to have some like acid in there. You got to have, I don't know. I'm not a baker, but there's got to be something. The one time I had a black and white cookie, I was like, really? This is it? It's like not even as good as a sugar cookie. Thing number 2, I'm feeling very called out by this book right now. Ari's intimacy issues are a little bit too relatable. She's like absolutely f***ing terrified of any kind of intimacy. Like, they just had sex for the first time, and it was really good in the sense that it was like emotionally interesting as well as sexy. But she kept wanting to look away from him and like all this other stuff. Let me see if I can find the quote. Hold on. Whatever. I can't find it. I think it's really interesting that they have such a strong connection that she wants to try to push past her fear. And it's not like that she's agreeing that she wants a long-term relationship right now with him like he wants with her. I think she's going to need to go to therapy or something for that, because her issues are super strong, and it's definitely not going to just happen. Like, she's got problems. But the thing that makes her go with him is that she doesn't want to be left behind, even more than she's scared of the intimacy. So she goes with him, and she chooses to go with him knowing that they're going to end up having sex if she goes with him, because that's what he's basically asking her. And she would rather do that and like try to face her fear a little bit. Like, it's just a one-time thing is what she's telling herself. But even that is too much with somebody that you are emotionally intimate with, like she is with Josh. So anyway, I'm like really into this. I think it's like very complex, but in not like a stupid dramatic way. It feels very real. Both of these people feel very real to me, and I don't know, I'm just really liking it. I feel like it's hitting all the right notes, and like I basically have not put this down since I picked it up. I mean, like, I read the first like 30 pages or something on the first night, and I was too tired, and I started it late, but basically since then, every chance I've gotten, I've been reading it. I'm not finishing this tonight. I'm sleepy. I'm gonna go to bed right now, but I am going to finish it in the morning and then get this vlog up. Although it's gonna be a bear to edit, because I want to do some like nice things to it instead of just like throwing it together. I'm on page 268. I've already read the afterword and all the notes and stuff. I read that before I even read the book. What a toxic trait, Ashley. Oh, it's 400 pages exactly. So I have like 130 pages or something to go. So I can do that in the morning. And that's what I'm going to do because I'm sleepy and we're going to bed. Right, guys? Hey. Say night. Night-night. Yeah. Good morning, nerds. So it is, actually, what time is it? My watch is gone. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, but I have been up for 6 hours. So I woke up at like 3:15 with inexplicable nausea, and I probably could have got back to sleep after I felt better, but the freaking cats, as soon as I wake up, they're like on me, and Lily's up here and Pippin's here, and they're bouncing, and then they start scratching at each other because they're like vying for territory, and I'm like, I just gave up. I just got up. And so I got up and I finished You Again, and I'm giving it 5 stars. This was so good. I don't know what people are talking about. Like, this is almost, it's just really well written. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It has a strong voice. It has such good characterization. It's very self-aware. I don't know, like, it was so good. I don't know why it doesn't have better ratings. This should have better ratings. Oh, that's a great hair. That's floofing hair off there. Yeah, 5 stars. I'm going to film my little wrap up of this vlog in like a second, but I'm sitting on the couch drinking tea. There's a cat playing at my feet, and I have him under a blanket, and I'm going to start another book. But as soon as I'm ready to get up and not be sitting anymore, I will wrap up. Also, by the way, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I was so productive today. Like, I finished this book, and I had breakfast, and I had coffee, and I did the dishes. The kitchen is really filthy, and then I picked up all the clutter in my house, and then I cleaned my bathroom, and then I took a shower, and I put away my laundry. It's only 9 o'clock, but I'm gonna be so tired by the end of the night, so that's why we don't do this. So I might have to take a nap, but also, I don't know. I hate wasting the day with naps. They're nice, but they just waste the day. And then I have to go to the Apple store because my earpods decided to stop working. So they're ready to pick up. So I have to do that today, but that's like basically the only plans I have other than editing this video and trying to get it up by tomorrow. So, and then maybe also film a couple of other things. I'm starting a new vlog, and I'm going to do, I think, a preview of the rest of December / the early months of 2024 and what I have on schedule for you guys. This book was 5 stars. The end. Had my fill of being cozy, although Pippin apparently is burying himself in my lap. And I want to wrap up this vlog. So as you may have seen earlier, if you were paying attention, maybe if you were like not looking, you wouldn't have noticed. So after I finished all 3 of these, I went and I did a little bit of research into the original fanfics. I did in fact find a PDF of this on Reddit. So if you want to read it, you can. Currently, there's a PDF available on Reddit. For your edification, the original fanfic is like 30 pages. So it is extremely expanded upon. So I was right in my guess. It was just a silly concept that was pulled and expanded, and I don't think it was expanded very successfully. That's just my opinion. Other people have seemed to really like this. I like the concept a lot. The execution in terms of like the most important part, which is the romance, really fell flat for me. I wouldn't not recommend this to people. I feel like it has its audience. I'm just not that audience. Oh my God, you guys, I'm so cold right now, and Pippin is in my lap and he's like a little heater. He's just throwing off heat. I've been waiting for him to do this all morning. I've had a blanket on my lap and everything. And of course now I sit on the floor and I'm trying to film a video and he's like, he's down there. This one, so I don't know who told me this was a fanfic. It's not. So it's very heavily connected to fanfic. So I still think it's appropriate to have read for this video, but it was not originally a fanfic. She wrote this from scratch. I think she originally got an agent based off of the strength of one of her fanfics that she like submitted to pull. And also she's not, or at least as far as I'm aware, she's more of a Harry Potter fanfic author, not a Star Wars fanfic author. And her ship is, Hermione and Draco. I mean, she's a smart lady and I like her writing, but I'm not into that at all. So that's her claim to fame. But she wrote this, and it actually is really, the dynamics are heavily based on Reylo. I think, I could be wrong about this, I think that I know for a fact that the artist who did this cover is a fan artist, and she's done a lot of work for fanfic authors. And I think she might have done Reylo in the past, so there's that connection. I know for sure she's done this author's Harry Potter fanfics. So, my bad, but this definitely does have a Reylo feel to it. And in fact, if you Google this book and fanfiction, the first thing that comes up is an Entertainment Weekly article. And you can see what she has to say about the Reylo and all the other stuff, and the inspirations. So it definitely was inspired by it. It definitely has the dynamics of those two people. I was very easily able to slot those two types into this book. But ultimately it's not a fanfic. It's just fanfic-ish, which is fine. And I really liked this, clearly. So I would definitely recommend this to anyone who likes contemporary romance because it was very well done. Yeah, no complaints. And then You Again, which was the standout. I mean, I read these in order of least favorite to favorite, so I don't know. I have good intuition, I guess, because that's what I was trying to do. So I did some research on this one too. This is the one I have downloaded to my phone. The original fanfic is Doing the Unstuck. And I learned this is heavily reworked, basically rewritten from scratch version of that fanfic, which the starting off point for that one is that Rey is Harry and Ben is Sally. And in the movie, if you haven't seen it, Harry is the one with the commitment issues, so that makes sense. I read like the first 10-15 pages of the fanfic, and it is basically what I was talking about earlier, which is the mashup fic, where it's the plot of When Harry Met Sally with the characters swapped out, because this book starts and the way that they meet is very different from the movie and from the fanfic. So they meet the first time when Ari is soliciting for donations to this company that helps bobcats. Actually, let me read you the first line. "Excuse me, sir." Ari stands her ground, feet shoulder width apart on the sidewalk in front of the Brooklyn Museum. "I know that someone who waited 10 minutes for a $6 cold brew has the time to stop and talk to me about protecting the second largest bobcat habitat in New Jersey." So that's what she's doing. That's the first time they meet. And that immediately segues into like a half an hour later, she goes home, and it turns out that Josh is dating her roommate, who she has a crush on. That's their first meeting. And the roommate doesn't show up until she's really late. So they have their first conversation in their first meeting, and it doesn't go well. In the movie, Harry and Sally meet because they've just graduated college and they are driving coast to coast. I don't remember where they're driving to, but they're definitely driving, they're driving from Chicago to New York, I think. And they share a car ride. And they really dislike each other after that car ride. And that's how the fanfic opens too. So I would bet good money it follows oh my God, my tea. I would bet good money that it follows very closely the structure of the movie. So this is basically like conceptually like an homage, but the original fanfic is like a 1-to-1 comparison for When Harry Met Sally. And with that, I'm gonna go because that noise is really annoying you, I'm sure. Although I will sit here sometimes for 5 or 10 minutes because I'm too lazy to get up and I just listen to it. I'm sure it's really pleasing to my neighbors. But we're done. So that's reading some Reylo fanfiction. I hope this has been somewhat entertaining. I had a good time. I don't regret reading any of these books. And yeah, let me know if you have any fanfictions turned into published books that you want to recommend me, or even just want to tell me about them, whether you liked them or didn't like them, etc. And let me show you something real quick. There's my boy. Say hi. Okay, that's cute. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you liked this video. And I guess I'll see you later. Farewell.